Should you visit the National Maritime Museum, here's your host, the lovely Londoner. Oi oi! Here's me quick review of the National Maritime Museum. Proper nautical. The history. The museum was opened in 1937 by King George VI with his daughter Princess Elizabeth. It probably seemed exciting for our future queen back then, but I bet the novelty of cutting ribbons with big scissors wore off after the first few thousand times. Look how bored she looks here in her dotage. Poor love. She cut ribbons for so long that Charles has never had chance to practice and simply don't have the same knack for it that his mother did. You'll get there, Your Majesty. Anyway, here's a fun fact. It was the great writer Rudyard Kipling who came up with the name, the National Maritime Museum. But how did it need a writer to come up with that? It's not a name, it's what it is. Still, the man makes great cakes, so who am I to argue? The experience. The museum is sat in the lovely grounds of Royal Greenwich Park, which makes for a very pleasant arrival. You could probably bring a picnic if you like a picnic. Outside is the magnificent ship in a bottle created by artist Yinka Shoneybear. It's a replica of HMS Victory, Nelson's big ship at the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805. It was originally on the 4th plinth in Trafalgar Square near Nelson's column before finding a permanent home here. But how did Yinka get that huge ship inside the bottle? No one knows, but it's probably something to do with mirrors. The museum itself is vast and will keep you and any kids entertained for a decent amount of time. There's a big bit on Nelson's famous winter course, including this very enjoyable painting of Napoleon looking super cash and not caring what anyone thinks about his bloomers being pulled up to his armpits. There's a fun little interactive quiz about conscription. I'll give you this answer so you can get it right and look smart when you go. Here you are. There's stuff on map making, weapons and ammo, including this cannonball pulled out of HMS Victory itself. There's face mugs and ship models, and also this genuine ship's whistle from the Titanic, used by a steward called Cecil Fitzpatrick to summon help. He was later pulled aboard a lifeboat by a woman called Lillian Bentham. She gave him a coat. He gave her his whistle as a thank you. Bloody beautiful. That would have been a better end to the film than a mad old lady chucking a priceless diamond into the sea. There's also a polar section where you can learn about polar expeditions, this terrifying 12-legged sea spider, and a sweet wall where you can ruminate on when you felt lost. One person here was clearly trying to impress their girlfriend, but for me, I just wrote paintings. Because walking through this museum, I constantly found myself lost in the formidable beauty of the giant seascapes on display. For, as this appalling ocean surrounds the verdant land, so in the soul of man there lies one insular Tahiti, full of peace and joy, but encompassed by all the horrors of the half-known life. Sorry, got lost all over again there. I've got a complicated past. Anyway, maybe my favourite bit of this museum is learning about naval language. It is incredible how many turns of phrase we still use today originated on ships. There's chock-a-block, the bitter end, knowing the ropes, cut and run, a leading light, loose cannon, son of a gun, and not enough room to swing a cat. Which was actually about having a space to properly swing a cat of nine tails when flogging a naughty sailor, rather than swinging a poor kitty about. Maritime people were the masters, it seems, of introducing lovely idioms to make our language the colourful, joyful, really the expressive thing it is today. The museum will also probably be running some other exhibitions for you to nose around in. While I was there, the astronomy photographers exhibition was on, which was worth the visit on its own. I could spend hours staring at these pictures of worlds we know so little of. For those who are able to discern order in this movement, who can partake of the primordial and mental things, numbers and proportions, the sight of the firmament and the lumen. Sorry, happened again. But even more impressive than that was the pirate exhibition that runs until January 2026. There's loads here that young'uns will recognise, like stuff on Peter Pan, Treasure Island and Pirates of the Caribbean. But they'll be too young to remember my childhood hero, Captain Pugwash, an animated pirate whose life began on the telly in the 1950s. Incredibly, back then it was animated live by hand on the BBC. Suck on that, Pixar. Anyway, this great exhibition covers every area of piracy, and the historical stuff is just as fascinating as the fiction. You learn that there were all kinds of pirates. There's your classic pirate, Blackbeard, who used to put fuses in his beard to make him look more fearsome. But you've also got pirates like Vice Admiral Sir Christopher Mings, who raided the Spanish for what is around 60 million squid in today's money, under orders of course, but instead of handing it back over to the Navy, he just had it for himself and his crew, and he got away with it. And then there's maybe the most fascinating of all, the Chinese female pirate Jun Yi Sao, who commanded perhaps 80,000 men and led hundreds of ships for about a decade of supremacy before she did a deal with the Chinese government and retired on her winnings to run a casino. It's the American dream!
The summary.
Okay, here's some quick reviews from me mates Baz, Gaz, Faz and Aurora. The National Maritime Museum. Proper nautical. But should you go? Well, if you like ships, weapons, etymology and legendary men in generous tights, then yes. But if the unpredictable danger of the wide open, unfathomably deep ocean, full of mystery, fear, horror and darkness... Happened again, soz. Focus, Double L. It's nearly done. If that's the stuff of your nightmares, then no! Do something else instead. Them's me views, make of them what you will.
The logistics.
You can find the National Maritime Museum in Greenwich, South East London, and it's well signposted. Get there by train from London Bridge. Local stations are Greenwich and Maze Hill. Greenwich is also on the Docklands Light Railway, but don't go to North Greenwich on the Jubilee line because that's bloody miles away. You can also get to Greenwich on the Thames Clipper boat service, although beware. On the nice day we went, the boats were packed and the queues were long. If it's a weekday or it's raining, you'll probably be alright. The museum is absolutely free to visit and is open from 10 AM to 5 PM every day. But if you want to see the pirate stuff, then that'll cost you some pieces of eight. A little impression for you there. 15 quid for adults, 7.50 for kids, free for under fours, and there's other discounts too. The lovely Londoners' top tip is, mate, a day of it. Greenwich is at least a day out in itself, with bloody loads to see and do, including the Cutty Sark, the Royal Observatory and Planetarium, the Queen's House and Greenwich Market. Plus, there are some lovely traditional British boozers around if you fancy sinking a few pints because the kids are getting on your last nerve. Well, that's another one in the can, as the film chaps say. Please like and subscribe. Double L really needs this. Thanks awfully. Shot right. It's gone 4 o'clock. Where are me scones? Coming right up, sir. Lovely.